And we're back. Well, now we're back. Hey, Shaggy SoCal, 2Old4Forza, and time for the second track guide for week 5 in this Ford Falcon XB. Again, continuing the theme of oval road courses. This actually will be the first race of the evening, be at Homestead Road Circuit. So, hmm, probably should have done that before I started broadcasting, but so again, kind of what I always do. I'll run a couple of hot laps, maybe talk through it, maybe not. Depends how much focusing I have to do. Then do the kind of the slow track walk, take it turn by turn, what I'm looking for, things I'm seeing. Hopefully things might help you. Just how do I approach the circuit? And then I'm going to run the mock race again because I need to validate whether 22 laps is actually a decent race length. So far, the estimates that have been put out there are at least a lap or two too long. So we'll see if that trend continues. But let's just go ahead and get into the test drive. And again, I've left manual with clutch on. Still trying to figure out how to use the clutch on my wheel setup for both upshifting and downshifting. So the skill today is to get comfortable downshifting. I'm not flipping the throttle. I'm not doing a classic or traditional heel toe or side of foot, whichever technique you want to call it. So really, I'm just focusing on getting into the good habit of getting on the clutch to upshift, but then also hitting the clutch to downshift. So I'm not. And then when I get really good at that, then I will see if I can flip the throttle. That was a bad shift. Didn't quite have the clutch all the way in. That's a little bit better. All right, down this long straightaway here, braking at about the 200 board. And still trying to figure out this one, if it's first or second. Cut the line there. This is going to be the most challenging turn in the entire track because you are going to kind of chuck the car in. Let the back end step out a little bit. Down a second, that wasn't the smoothest there. We'll do one more lap. Coming off the banking is going to be a challenge. This one not so much. This one's pretty good, as long as you get your braking right. Down the second gear, lights disappear down to, oh, that's a little late, very late. Try and salvage it. As you see, is off the throttle. First gear, let car do the work. You can use a little bit of curbing. Bring it out just shy of halfway. Back across, braking right about the break in the fence. I went down to first that time. That might be too... Might be able to do that in second. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Back straightaway here. Let me try it in second this time. Still braking about the 200 board. I think my problem is I'm turning in, at least for me, that was a little bit better. I just seem to have problems like if I'm trying to follow the suggested line. And again, coming off the backing on the back straight, kind of let the throttle, chuck the car in sideways, roll back in, clip the curbing. Hopefully you don't go off on the right side, and then don't forget which foot is on which pedal to get the car slowed down. And I only say that because I've forgotten 3 times trying to do a few practice laps before the stream started. All right, so that's kind of the hot lap. So again, third gear coming down the front straightaway. This very nice gentle turn in. I think for me, can you abuse the curbing? Yes. I don't think you really need to. I think be neat and tidy, keep it on the tarmac, let the car come out. Let the car come out to the right side. Braking is, again, you can kind of see the transition, new pavement to old pavement on the infield. So braking is going to be, there we go, just before that transition point. In your own practice, play around with it. I mean, part of the nice thing about the video game is you don't have to pay for crash damage. So experiment. How late can you brake and still make the corner? Not only that, but how late can you consistently brake? That's probably the better way to go. Play around with that. For me, it is, again, running 200 brake pressure on the tune and how I've got the pedals adjusted. It's going to be just before the transition, but even I'm probably going to, in the race, I'll probably be a little conservative with it, just again to maintain consistency. For me on the wheel, it is a downshift to second gear. Brake, 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 brake. I don't have a definitive, hey, turn in when you're passing this thing. Because I'm mainly trying to keep an eye on the apex of the corner so that I can, when I do release the brake and turn in, I'm going to try and get it where I can clip the curbing a little bit and roll back into the throttle. Again, second gear, let the car come out. And again and again with this infield, there's going to be parts of it where you don't really have any help. There's no extra runoff. It's basically, and I kind of like it this way. It is your track surface and then grass, and there's no in between. There's no fudging it. Might have a couple of help from some exit curbs here or there, but just be careful. So I would say try and keep it neat and tidy where you can. So again, bring it out in second gear, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. Now this one I'm notoriously late as far as getting the brakes, and I tend to, this is another one of my tendencies where I want to get all my braking done in a straight line, then release and turn in. So that may or may not, might leave me vulnerable for somebody to take a look at the inside, but essentially for me, the braking is right about where these, again, since it's Homestead and since it's got the NASCAR uh, lighting for night racing, we've kind of got the bank of lights here on the inside. So for me, it's right about where um, it is right about where that bank of lights ends. So there's three there right now. So I probably break somewhere about here. That's really, for me, that's what I'm focusing on. And it's brake down to first gear, and you can see where I went wide before. So you do want to kind of break it in a straight line, release the brakes, and turn in. And if you did what I did before and we're way wide, or if you do follow the suggested line in, actually, let's show the suggested line fully. Assists. No. Assist. There we go. That's the right button. So yeah, again, I think for me, this is where I'll differ from the line a little bit. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be a little bit wide of it, and then really try to late apex it on the way in. So I'll probably late apex it here, and depending on my mood or what I'm doing, I may kind of follow the suggested line directly. More likely than not, I'll be a little bit to the left of it. But in using it, again, I don't have any static references to point out. So what I've been finding is in first gear, if as I'm coming down through here, just as I get to, since I'll run it with braking only, where that line starts, I'm just going to ease off the throttle, maybe brush the brake if I feel I've gone in a little too quick. But if I get it right, I should just feel completely out of the throttle. It's high enough in the RPM, the car will slow down, you get some weight at the front, and then this turn, you know what? One of the things I'm going to do, so that I'm not constantly stalling the car. That's better. Then I'll just be off the gas at this point and let the car, and again, as I say, let the car do the work. Just bring it into the corner, maybe get on the rumble strips, just past the apex, start to roll back into the throttle, first gear, bring it out. I'm going to use this curving here on the inside a little bit, second gear. Again, you can bring it out to about halfway. Game wants you to bring it all the way up to halfway. I don't think you need to do that with this car. But you do want to bring it back to the left side, third gear, as you're coming down the first of two straightaways on the infield. Now, when I was doing the fast laps, I was saying brake at the, you know, hit the brakes at the break in the fence. So you can see I just got past the 300 board here. And you can see the 200 board there ahead. But you can see here, let me just drive up a little bit further. We've got this part of the fence where there's a break in the fence. So that because and I think the way it's lined up is that the first part of this wall is a little bit more inside than the second part. So perception wise, the fences overlap as you approach them. But it's at that point, if you can spot that, for me, that's about where I'm getting onto the brakes to get into this next corner. 300's a little too far back, and definitely 200's too late, way too late. But I'll be braking about here, down to second gear. I'd like to be able to do this in second. You know, second or first. Again, it's by feel. I think I would prefer to do it in second. I'm still trying to get the line sorted because my habit is I tend to attack this and turn it a little bit earlier than the game suggests. But I want to try and get the car in. I'm probably going to abuse the curving here a little bit as much as the game will let me. And because I turn in a bit earlier, I'm gonna exit out. My arc out's going to be a lot. I'm going to get out to that left side curving there. So usually what I've been doing is, because I'm trying to salvage a bad turn in, is I'll bring the car back out here and just open this turn up as much as I can and flirt with the lines. So even here, perception wise on hood view, even though it's just past the midpoint there, you know, where does that actually put the, you know, how close am I really? So yeah, so you got to be very careful. So I would say if you're going to straddle this line, if you're going to flirt with it, don't let it go more than, whoops, one more. You know, straddle it halfway, because you have less room before you start going off track limits than you think. And mainly I do that to kind of open up and take advantage of the extra tarmac here on the left, and then turn in, still full throttle. Upshifting, if you upshift to third here, you might feel the back end slide out a little bit because it does kind of crest up a little. Third gear, let it wind out. Bring the car to the right side. This is the other one turn I'm still trying to get sorted. Braking about the 200 board. And for me, where I'm trying to get sorted is second gear, first gear, and then for me, and I think I'm going to have to differ from the braking line, at least for now, is do a later turn in. So turn it in about here, clip the inside curbing, start to unwind the wheel out, and roll back into the throttle. I'm going to try and stay off the exit curbing here. Probably won't happen. But then coming on to the backstretch, again, usually I'll line it up along this flat part of the white line. I might straddle it. But then I'm aiming for the course condition light just past the printed Homestead on the outside wall. Bring the car all the way out. And I don't know if this racetrack has names for its various turns. I'm going to call this next turn Chuck, because you're going to chuck this car. At least for me, that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of trying to do an old controller trick with the wheel. So I want to try and break down what I'm doing, even though I haven't fully figured out exactly what I'm doing. So as I'm coming down the backstretch, first thing you're going to notice is you're going to see the palm trees. So you're going to pass. As I get past the palm trees, the point I'm turning in is you see the final palm tree, and then you see the very next light pole on the outside of the fence. That's what I'm looking for. That's my commit turn in, you know, chuck the car in. And what I'm doing is I'm staying pretty straight here, and I'll try paying attention to it as I'm going into the mock race. As I'm getting to that pole, I'm just coming out of the throttle and turning. and in doing that in third gear is enough. It will get the back end to start to step out, but as soon as I do that and the car starts to step out, I'm starting to try to roll back into the throttle. So I'm trying. I'm trying to initiate that nice four-wheel drift, and then I'm kind of saying a little prayer because one of two things. Well, one of three things will happen. Either I'm going to chuck the car and I'm going to over rotate it and I'm going to cut this curbing on the inside too much and get a big time penalty. Ideally, if I do it right, you're gonna clip this curbing a little bit. I mean, your goal is you want to be just at it. I think that's the ideal thing. But again, the car is going to be pitched a little bit sideways, and probably still off the throttle, still trying to get back to the throttle. Because I'm purposely pitching the car and getting it to slide, I'm running the risk of continuing that slide all the way off into the grass. And again, this grass is merciless. You get one tire off, you're going to get sucked in the grass, or it's going to put the car sideways. So that's the balancing act. It's going to pitch it sideways, carry a lot of speed in, try to roll back into the throttle. The car is going to come all the way out here, and I might even still be, in some cases, I might still be a little bit sideways before I can get fully back on the throttle and get the car straightened out. So that's, it's going to be a fun one. Um, this is where because I'm focusing so much on trying to keep the car balanced and carry speed through, this is where I forget that my left foot is on the clutch, not the brake. So I need to be able to know to get my right foot back to the brake for this next corner. Um, Again, no real definitive braking point that I've ever found. So I am relying on the line to kind of help me there. Yeah, you might be able to correlate it with palm trees, like, hey, I'm breaking at the second palm tree, um, or the third palm tree in this case. So again, as you're practicing, just kind of look, hey, where am I braking? What am I seeing at the moment that I'm braking? And that'll kind of help. The whole idea is if you're following somebody and you can't see the braking line to know where to brake, try to have something static on either side that'll help give you that reference. So for me at this point, brake, if I've done it right, I brake using the brake pedal, not the clutch. It is down to second gear. And I should just be able to release the brake, turn the car in, clip the curbing the inside here a little bit. If I've carried too much speed, I'm going to go out, probably use a little bit of the exit curbing there on the right side. But hopefully I'm going to kind of, I don't know if I'll be exactly where the line is. I might be in between the line and the edge of the track. Again, I'm going to be kind of half panicked from the previous corner. So who knows what will happen here. But still second gear, bring the car back over, bring the car out. It's a very, very quick brake. Still trying to figure this one out, but ideally I want to try and clip the curbing here a little bit so I'm kind of straight so that I can set up for this corner and eat a little bit of curbing here. And as in past track guides, the way this banking works, and to a certain extent, I think the braking line's pretty good as well. As you look straight ahead, you can see the green course condition light, and you can kind of see the gate there just to the left of it. Coming out of this corner, you want the nose of your car pointed to the left of the green light before you get to the change in banking. Otherwise, if you're pointed at it to the left, even though you're trying to turn left, turn right, no, pointed at it, or right, even though you're turning left, when you hit the banking, it's gonna pull the car straight towards the wall. So the other nice thing is, because we got to play for rear end here, as you come out of this corner, you're turning, you start to roll back in the throttle, you'll hit the banking, the back end. If you've got the angle right, you'll probably get a little bit of wheel spin and a little bit of extra rotation. Again, it's nothing at least for me, I haven't had to do a lot of counter steering. Just know that you'll get a little help from the rear tires as they spin up as you come out of this corner. But again, green light, point to the left of the green light, and by the time you're getting onto the banking, you should be pointed at the left side of I want to call it the press box suites there at the top of the grandstand. And then you're back up on the front straight at Homestead, bring the car out to the right, accelerate up to third gear, and get ready for another lap of fun. So that's the track walk. So now let's see how well I do. Still trying to figure out, excuse me, Still trying to figure out the clutch on the braking and downshifts. So before I do that, let's go ahead and reset my assists. Braking only, manual clutch, and we'll finish the test drive. Finish test drive session. Again, the estimate that was on the spreadsheet says 22 laps. I think that's at least a lap or two too long, but let's find out. And we'll go ahead and start the race. I do have one quick stop, yes? Let's just make sure. Yes, one quick stop. And start. If this is the first track guide you're watching, usually I do these mock races to kind of give myself something to practice against. Get some traffic, figure out maybe there's some passing situations that I can sort out where I might look for passes. And I usually try to break this up into buckets similar to what we have on Thursday. So starting up front, bucket. The first bucket is the same class this Ford Falcon XB is in, the historic road racing. Same PI, but usually again in equal equipment. I tend to be a bit quicker than the AI is. Then starting second, I believe the class is the historic drag racers. So same era of cars, just these ones are geared or engineered for drag racing. Very quick in a straight line, probably quicker than I am, but will suck in the corners. But lap time wise, should be close to what I'll be able to do. Then cars that hopefully I want to try and keep up with, or if I get ahead, try to keep behind me, is the Birth of Grand Prix. So nice vintage early Formula One cars. And I will be starting about 5 seconds after them if I get things right. All right, let's see how I do with manual clutch. Third gear, gentle turn in. And second gear this time. And again, because it's in second gear, and I've talked about it before in all the other guides, when you have that choice between lower gear with higher RPM or higher gear with lower RPM, it's that question of, do you want the car on its toes or its heels? What are you more comfortable with? With me, with this car, I think in most cases, if it's a particularly slow corner, I'd rather get it down to first and have that little extra point. People are pitting already. All right, let's see. We're going to check the car in. And chuck. A little wheel banging from the F1 cars up there. One thing I'm noticing as you transition off the banking for the first turn, you'll feel, for those of you that are on a wheel, you'll feel the wheel load up a little bit. I mean, not, at least for me, not to the point where you're having to really, wrench on the wheel more. You'll feel it, just you get a little bit more weight or a little feedback on it. Ooh, that was really bad. Very slow. I got a F1 car behind me. I really do want to stay off that exit curbing because it upsets the car a little bit, slows it down a little bit. And chuck. Oh, that's too much, Chuck. Every lap's an adventure. But 8-7, there's more time there. Yes. I'm at that weird place of I can, braking for that hairpin. It's like I'm braking it at the 200, but now I think I'm braking that I could probably go a little bit deeper on the braking in that corner. That's better. Little chuck, not big chuck, little chuck. This will be interesting. Alright, so let's talk about passing. Obviously here, turn 1, you can probably set up, you might be able to get somebody into braking, but you better be pretty far alongside them to try and get a pass there. This is probably, for me, this is one of my favorite places to pass, if I get it set up. I didn't there. Bad downshift. These next two straights are probably the best places to try and set something up or look for mistakes. Maybe first gear is better, maybe not. I got a little run on the Mercedes. Do I take a look? No, he's got too much. I'll try and undercut it. Loose him out of the way. But he's gonna have the run on the outside. Nope. Alright. Little chuck, little chuck, little chuck. So I'm not really paying attention to how much steering I'm throwing in, or as far as how to get that. I think if you watch closely, it's like it's not a huge amount of, when I'm letting off the throttle and turning it, it's not a huge amount of steering to get the back end in. I'm kind of letting the gearing kind of help rotate the car at that point. Again, I'm trying to sound intelligent, like I know what I'm doing, but almost got into him. A little room. So the turn to get the car into the corner is slight, but you are going to have to probably put a bit of correction in once the back end starts to slide out. But let's see if I'm going to try and pay attention to what my hands are doing. But I think for the most part, that's going to be probably where most of the passes are going to get set up, is people are going to get that turn all wrong. I'm sure I'll get it wrong at some point as well, where I'll go to the clutch instead of the brake. Alright, let's see. There's just a slight turn in as I snap off the... Oh, wow, look at that pass. Boy, made it look like I know what I'm doing. And like always, I'm just going to make my life easy. And then I realized, I think I'll have to this is just random thing. Whether if I'm actually running the, like, all right, Daytona specifically reran night. We're running night. So when I set this up, I didn't double check whether we're running the day version. I just don't know if I'm running the day version here. Could be. I just don't remember if I know Homestead has a rain version. I just don't know if they have a night version as well. I don't think it makes too much of a difference in... Whoa, that was early. I think we are 3 wide. Well, maybe not. A little further inside, so I'm going to ease off the throttle a little bit just to make that turn as gentle as possible. Not enough steering. Yeah, by waiting, if you can wait to shift up after you get past the apex, you can't talk and drive at the same time. Again, the upshift, especially if you're doing manual clutch, you can minimize the risk that the upshift's going to cause the back end to kick out. Kind of like, even there, if you just are off the throttle, okay, so let's break that down a little bit more now that I'm paying a little more attention to it. Just coming off the throttle in third gear and starting to turn in is enough to get the back end to step out. The trick then is going to be, how aggressive can you let that happen? How far can you let it go and still be able to catch it? Finally getting that turned a bit better. I think second gear is best for there. See how that upshift? And it didn't change anything really with the wheel, but the upshift was enough to get the back end to kick out. nice to know that if I have to get to the brakes mid-chuck, the car is going to be compliant. Take the outside. I think, again, this is one of those things that I was finding with this car with other tracks, is sometimes it's better, just the nature of the car, the outside actually may work better to stick a pass. Still letting the car drift out to that curving too much. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with that with Chuck, to where it's almost like you can just almost just let the car step out on its own. Oop, bad shift. Gotta be a little bit gentler here, just because they're very slow compared to me. What did I do to you? Must be going, yeah, he's going into the pits as I hit the wall. I think the driver tires are tired of me insulting them every live stream. Elon Musk warned us about AI. This is how they're going to get their revenge first. They're going to start, running us off the road in our driving games, and then they take over the world. Then it's Skynet. So that's the early line that I've been taking. Alright, so I haven't actually tried to pit in my pre-stream practice, so this is going to be fun. But first, Chuck. Okay, so let's see how we do this. So I think the line is still going to be relatively, just when you get here, you're just going to cut it a bit more, and in you go. Good. I definitely got some traffic that is already pitted, though there's a couple of others that haven't yet. So let's see. Good. Put you straight out here. Probably could have done that. You probably can go up to second there and then just, you know, brake at the corner. It's been a while since we've raced here at Homestead. Oh, going up way far. Quite remember. My memory at the pit exit at Homestead is that it spat you, kind of like Daytona, it spat you right out in traffic. But now there's actually a nice kind of little merge lane. So again, I will just kind of say, for Chuck, this is what I am doing. This is not necessarily, this may not necessarily be the fastest way through there, but it is what I'm doing. So if it turns out what I'm doing is slow, then you now know what the slow way is. And come on. So I'm guessing there's probably a way you can do that as I miss another shift. But there's probably a way you can do that, you know, kind of similar to what the driver tires are doing is you know, gently turning in and braking for the corner. And a little bit of space there. I mean, I can try and not chuck it in and see if I can do a more traditional turn in. Just don't know that it'll be as fun. Sorry. Alright, so let's see what the game wants you to do. Looking at the braking line. So it's an earlier... To get in some clear traffic and see if I can deduce if it's quicker or not. At least I don't feel so bad. Oh, you're going wide? You're going wide? I'm spinning. Because at least the driver tires, you know, I don't feel quite so targeted now, seeing how they race each other. Grande Picos. I'll have a bit of clear traffic here. So I'm going to try just not lifting. Oh. That did not work as planned. Well, I hit the wall and that kind of screwed up what I was trying to do. So we'll give it another shot next lap. Excuse me. I'm going to put it in the middle, but he's just going to... Grande Pico is just going to blow right by me and run into those guys. Let's not hit the wall this time. And well, okay. So spent all this time talking about chucking it into the corner. You might be able to. It's 6-1. It'll be 6-1, half dozen the other. Hopefully, I might just when I hit the end of this, just try a couple of. If I get a couple of clean laps at the end of the race, then maybe we can try and sort out the differences. But the way the game has the suggested line, you're still kind of. It seems a bit of a shallow entry for me, for my tastes. And you're still going to have to do a quick brake. Otherwise, the line you're taking is just going to put you straight off on the outside of the corner. But, you know, if that is a safer, more consistent way of getting in there, a little bit of lift, mainly so I don't run in the back of the guy in front of me, and to keep the back end from spinning, from stepping out, excuse me, on acceleration. Probably gonna, if I follow him, I'm gonna be right on this bumper at the apex. Remember how I said at some point I'm going to hit the clutch instead of the brake? Just did. Old habits die hard. A little bit late on the braking, but kind of salvaged it. Nice shift there. Ooh, almost cut that too much. Ooh. That's that early turn in, and at least in practice, I'm kind of going, okay, is it, I'm probably carrying a bit more speed in, but then am I paying the price on the exit down the next straightaway? It's hard to gauge here because there's such a discrepancy in the performance of the cars, especially when I'm in shifts. You were already sliding, I just helped straighten you out. Muscle my way through here. Excuse me. I'm just going to keep it in the middle because I got the Ferrari. I'll put down to first since I'm a little bit further inside. Ooh, tank slapper. A little bit wide there. All sorts of bad stuff happening there. Don't do that. Here comes the Ferrari. let him go by. Then I'll probably run into the back of him here. That was a missed downshift. Oh, no, you don't. Hopefully he can hold that Ferrari up for at least a little bit. Don't be slow in the next corner. Oh, I just wanted to get him out of the way. I didn't realize it just killed him. I think the race stewards might be calling me to the trailer after this. This probably won't be a good job. I'm going to try the suggested line again. I'm not really on a good lap to kind of to judge if what the game suggests is faster or not. Stay on the gas. You can kind of see where the braking line resets. So it was a quick jab of the brake there. $138.3. There might be a few more tenths out there. I think I can get into the 137s, but that's Homestead. And actually, did I do it? I did it. Okay, so I did it at I think I did it at the daytime. I don't know. Where's my brain? But that's Homestead, the road circuit in the Ford Falcon XB. Aside from, I would say, if you, as far as the turn off the back straightaway, play with it, play around with it. I think I have more fun with the chuck method, just kind of getting the car, letting the car get into a four-wheel drift, and just you know winging a prayer. Or if you want to try the more traditional line, it will make for an interesting race. So with that, I want to call it an evening. And again, 38 minutes for a 22 lap race. Yeah, we're probably going to shave a lap, maybe two off of that, but that's for Matt to decide. But hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. I'm going to call it a night. I'm probably actually going to go uh, do a little more experimenting with coming off the back straight to see which one I like better. But with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. I will see most of you on Thursday. And as I get to my live streaming setup, come on, there's got to be an easier way to do this. So, again, have a great weekend. Happy racing.